Hi, Jim. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Rhonda. It's good to be here with you.
Okay, so Jim, I know that you're senior pastor and preaching pastor at Joy City Church, but you've given up your staff position to begin a new ministry. And so maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, what I'm doing now, I have been a pastor for some 30 years, and I feel like it's time for me to branch out into more of a researching and writing type of ministry right now. I'm also quite unexpectedly finding a new interest in the book of Revelation. Maybe not a new interest, but I've been studying it for a long time, and I believe that the time has come for the world to hear this book. So that's one of the major things that I'm going to be doing, God willing, is finding ways to teach and present the book of Revelation.
Why did you decide to do this?
Well, I guess in a way, I have a sense of God leading, the leading of God's Spirit in my life. But I'm especially intrigued by how the book of Revelation starts when it says, "Blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this book and heed the things that are written in it." So since this book comes with a promise of blessing, both for the person who reads and the one who hears, or those who hear, I want to be part of that blessing and help to spread that blessing. And I think the way that it's stated there, it implies that somebody has to read this book, and then lots of people can listen. He who reads and those who hear. So it's kind of in the book itself, but also I feel it's God's leading in my life.
The book of Revelation sounds like a pretty hard book to try and interpret. In fact, Dan Brown, the author of the Da Vinci Code, comments about it in his book, The Lost Symbol, and he says something like this. He says, "The book of Revelation is a mess, and no one knows how to read that." So don't you think it's a little bit hopeless to try and interpret a book like that?
Well, you have to admit the book of Revelation is difficult. It's full of symbols and figurative language and unexpected pictures and so on. So yes, it is a hard book to read, but I wouldn't agree with Dan Brown at all that it's a mess and that nobody can read it. I just said that the book itself says, "Blessed is he who reads, those who hear, that they may heed the things." So the book itself expects that we can understand it and even do what it says. And then in the last chapter of the book, it has a verse that goes something like this. The angel who's speaking to John says, "John, do not seal up the words that are written in this book, for the time is near." And like in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, Daniel was told that he needed to seal the book and people wouldn't understand it. But the book of Revelation is given by God to us so that we can understand it. And I think I've done the hard work necessary to do a credible and trustworthy reading of this book.
Well, there must be hundreds and maybe even thousands of people who are writing and teaching on the book of Revelation. Is there any reason why people should pay attention to what you have to say about this book?
Well, I wouldn't say that I believe I have the interpretation of the book of Revelation. I would say that if the book is readable, as it says it is, lots of people who are reading it responsibly should be coming to similar conclusions about what it has to say. So I'm not trying to be special or unique, but I do think I have material to add to our reading of the book. My professional studies through university was always in ancient literature, ancient Greek, well, actually ancient Western literature, and I specialized in Greek, so I read that very well. And so my study of Revelation is based on the Greek text largely. I've been a pastor for 30 years, so I've been preaching scripture. I've been teaching at seminary for 10 to 15 years, I guess. And then in recent years, I've specially focused on the book of Revelation, making it in my personal study, not really thinking I was going to do this, be teaching it. But it's taking me 10 to 15 years to really master the book. I memorized it to be sure I would know it well. And suddenly I find myself compelled to read it for anybody willing to listen.
Who do you hope to influence in this new ministry?
Well, as I was beginning this new adventure, or this new part of my journey, I was thinking that, my calling has been to be a pastor, that I would probably be ministering to people who were followers of Jesus and to churches. And I think I will be doing that. I believe the church needs to hear this book. I believe Christians should be making choices about getting ready for Christ's return. But on the other hand, if Jesus is coming again, it's not just about Christians, it's about the whole world. And everybody's going to be affected by his return and what happens after it. So I think that a large part of my audience, at least my hope, is it would be people who are not followers of Jesus, or who have never heard, or who even belong to other religions but would be open to hear what the Bible has to say. And I hope that lots of people would be stirred by this book and at least listen and hear what it has to say, so they can evaluate whether or not it might be the best thing in the world they could do to pay attention and become part of the group of people that's getting ready for Jesus to return.
So I understand this is the first time that you've ever tried to do a video series. Are you happy with the way it's turned out?
Mm. Well, it's always embarrassing to watch yourself on video or to listen. So I've done my best. I don't speak from a manuscript, so when I'm talking, I don't have everything written out perfectly, so I know that I make the odd little mistake about details and so on. We've tried to edit those out and so on, but it's the best we can do. I've got a great videographer, a great editor, and I just hope that if there are little imperfections, it won't distract from the message that I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to become a TV personality. I'm trying to read the book of Revelation so people can hear it and do what it says.
Is there anything special you would like to say to the people who are watching this video?
Well, I guess I would just want to say, give it a chance. See what this book has to say and evaluate it and become at least a listener. And I would hope that you would become blessed through this book. That's the promise of this book. And I would hope that that blessing could be eternal. There is judgment to come, but God takes no pleasure in judging anybody. So I just would hope that all of my listeners would take this seriously and start talking to Jesus and start giving heed and being ready for his return. That would be my greatest hope that would result from this.